welcome to Infome, a social media conversation for June 3rd, 2014. I'm Nate Manahan.
And I'm Dustin Hickle.
Hey, today we're going to do all kinds of cool things. We're going to talk about how there are now 30 million Facebook small businesses. Wow.
That's an incredible number, especially since that's like globally, 30 million. We're also going to talk about 10 ways that you might be being a jerk with your email newsletter list, so be careful with that.
We know you're out there. We know you might be doing that. We'll have the infographic of the week. We'll have the question of the week. And at the same time, we have a special deal. If you watch all the way to the end, you might have a chance to win something. So make sure you watch all the way right to the end. All of this on Infome, a social media conversation. Keep watching. Welcome back to Infome.
Yeah.
It's first week of June. Summer starts June 21st, but it really to me starts June 1st. When that June, July, August, that's summer to me, and it's like I don't know about you.
I always think Memorial Day is the unofficial start of summer.
Yeah.
You know, people bring their. We live in a lake community, so people bring their boats to the lake and they drop them in. You see people out there skiing in water that's probably too cold to be skied in yet. But yeah, I always feel like it's Memorial Day. But yeah, June definitely summer.
We have arrived, and I got outside all day Saturday, all day Sunday, just playing around with the kids, having a lot of fun. Just gorgeous. Love that time of year. And what's interesting about this time of year is as people get more and more outside, their use of social media, I think, probably changes because one, they're not on it as much during the winter months. You give me something, so you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, and now we're doing other things, and people are busier. So what does that mean for those who are diving into social media as they're putting their messaging out there? Does it change how they do things a little bit?
Yeah, you know what, you definitely want to focus more on mobile. Mobile, optimize your content, make your content short, make sure your images look good on a mobile device. Because nobody's sitting in front of their computer. It's all a quick check on Facebook, a quick check on Twitter. A/B test like crazy. Find out when people actually respond. All the things that we always tell you guys to do, to try and to use. It's going to take a little bit more work during the summer and probably even more testing. Yeah. But it could be worth it in the end because people are probably in the summer. At least me, I'm more apt to buy a golf club. I'm more apt to buy a new shirt. I'm more apt to, some of those things. I want new stuff. It's summer. I'm happy. It's exciting. Yeah. So it's worth the test. It's worth the work.
Well, and I wonder, and I have no data to prove this, and it's just a theory, and probably someone out there has done this work. But we know that there are certain times in the period that people jump on, but I wonder, on nice days in communities, so on Friday and Saturdays when there are nice days, if you know that when the sun goes down, that's when people are going to jump on. So in our area, that's almost 10 o'clock when it finally gets dark. And so people are going to be on social media later. Mm-hmm. And so maybe getting onto that social media, putting links up a little later than you usually think of because people stay up a little later. What I notice about summer is people have a lot of energy, but they're also tired when they come back because they're like, hey, I stayed outside until 10, then I didn't go to bed until 12:30. Yeah. And so I wonder if statistically people then jump on as they're cleaning up from their day, as they jump in and take a shower because they've been hot and sweaty and been playing outside. They went golfing, they went swimming, they did whatever they did, and they get done, they clean up, they have a glass of wine or whatever they do to chill out, and they turn on their mobile device or maybe their laptop or whatever they do, but they engage in the social media a lot later, so we as brands may want to think that happens. I have no idea if that's true.
It sounds good.
It's anecdotal.
It sounds really good.
And it's certainly in testing. I would guarantee you, and I'm positive, that the time that people interact with you is less and the time that they do it is different. And so those two things, the A/B test, I love that. You should just be doing a lot of testing and not expect as the seasons change to be what worked in May or what worked in April may not work in June, July, and August. And what works in June may not work in July. And all that changes.
Well, absolutely. And it just makes sense, like you said, just think about it for yourself. When are you on social media? When are you actually checking your Facebook page and your Twitter page? If you start thinking about it outside of the business setting and just personally, even myself, I do social media all the time. It's just what I do. But in the summertime, I don't get on my phone until 9:30 at night, until 10 o'clock at night when I've gotten off the golf course and when I'm sitting on my couch. Yeah. It just makes sense. So personally, I can take that theory myself and apply it. And just think about that for your community and you yourself. Put it into practice. It's fun. It's fun to. I like to test things. It's fun to go out there and find out what works and what doesn't and why and do all that. So take it and get a little enjoyment out of it. Try to enjoy the challenge.
Yeah. So let's look at a couple articles this week. It's a good time to look at that. So we're going to look at first, let's talk about Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook continues to grow, and they came out with a stat about small businesses using Facebook this week that is obviously very relevant since they're small businesses.
Right, absolutely. Facebook says there are now 30 million small businesses with active pages on Facebook, including 19 million on mobile, which I don't understand the last part of that stat, because if you have a page, you can use it on mobile and on desktop. I'm not exactly sure what they're getting at there in their title, but the biggest number to pay attention to is the fact that there are 30 million small businesses with active pages.
I would assume that's 19 million that are using the Pages app on mobile and managing their page through.
I always, even on my mobile device, because I'm a little bit different about it. I even on my mobile device, I go to Chrome and I type in facebook.com and I go there because there are different features that I can access that I don't feel like I can access on the Pages app.
I'm going to assume that's what that was.
That makes total sense.
Yep.
So yeah, if you're one of those, which you are probably if you're watching this show, you were noting that 30 million seems a little bit high for the number of small businesses.
Here's probably not. I think they're pricing internationally now that I think about that, and they're not just saying in the U.S. But we know in the U.S. it's probably the majority, certainly the plurality of the small businesses that are on Facebook are going to be from the United States still, even though it's obviously a very international brand. But what we do also know is there are only 24 to 28 million in the U.S. So 30 million is high, but it does mean there's a high percentage they're on, and if you're not on, you're missing out.
Yep.
Now, it also means that there are a lot of small businesses on there. And just by being on Facebook, it doesn't mean you're going to be effective.
Yeah.
Because look,
there
are 30 million others that are looking for that attention. Every person has a lot of options. And there's so many people going for their voices. And so my point is, look, just being on Facebook isn't enough. No. And Facebook may not even be the right spot for a lot of businesses. You have to decide that. And if you are a Facebook user, you're going to know how to use it. That's just a general. And if you might be the right community to be on Facebook.
Sure, absolutely.
But realize it's just huge amount of numbers.
Absolutely. And you and I were talking about this before the show. You have to. I'm going to steal your line and steal your thunder. You have to determine the win.
Yeah.
You know, what's a win for your social media account and your social media marketing? Is it that you got another 50 likes on your page, so that's another 50 people that you have exposure to now, that you've increased your exposure? Or is it that people click on your links, click through to your website, and purchase the latest apparel or purchase the latest whatever it is? You need to determine what your end goal is, because if you don't have that, then you're just kind of frolicking in the water. You know, you're just kind of splashing around. You're never going to quite get to where you want to go. So make sure you set that goal and determine what your win is, and then be okay with the results.
Yeah. I think what we can say for sure is Facebook is more and more relevant all the time, but it's more and more difficult all the time. Because when you have that many people that are looking at it, the amount of time they're spending on it, and the fact that it's becoming harder and harder to get your message to naturally and organically appear in front of them, it becomes a bigger struggle, and it costs more time, it costs more money, and it certainly is a strategy that we're all trying to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as much as we want to call ourselves social media experts, I think what's happening is Facebook's gotten so big that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and we have to start testing it. But 30 million of you have jumped in. It's good. We're glad there are 30 million people jumping in Facebook. It's a great community. There are lots of great ways to use it. It's just not always simple and easy. Dry.
Absolutely. And again, like we say all the time, if you have questions on this kind of stuff, if you have thoughts or things that have worked or that haven't worked or that have just blown up in your face, just tweet at us. We'll probably put our Twitter accounts up here at some point. We usually do.
Thank you, JT. Great job. We appreciate that.
But yeah, just ask us. You know, we'd love to hear. We'd love to have a conversation with you. We like to problem solve, and if there's a problem that arises, we'd at least love to take a look at that and see if there's anything we can do to help you out.
Yeah, because go to facebook.com/Salcha. We at this point don't have a lot of interaction, and we've not paid to jump out.
Right.
But we have, I don't know, just over 1,000 likes, I believe, on the Salcha page. And our reaches are somewhere in the 30 to 50 range on the average post, and a couple of them have gotten a little bigger. Yeah. But that means that it's still a very under 10% of the people who like you are ever seeing what you even have, much less interacting and engaging.
For us in physical, tangible proof. Yeah, we're almost to 1,500 likes. Just pull it up here. But you know, we reach, like you said, 20, 30, 35. You know, sometimes even a little less than that. Just because Facebook wants you to pay. I mean,
Yeah.
it really boils down to they have to make money, they're a business, but and there are things you can do organically, but boy, it's challenging.
And it is, and you realize that it's really hard to get started now. If you've already been there, then maybe you can jump in. But this is also why social media needs to just be one of the channels that you're on. Because at any given point, Facebook can change things, and it's their right to change things, and they're looking to make their money. And building your business on Facebook, building your business on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or any other social media platform is ultimately extremely dangerous. And you should be thinking, how am I going to use this as just a piece of the pie, not as the whole pie?
Absolutely. Another piece of the pie, if I can transition, another piece of the pie that you can use that a lot of us use is email marketing.
And it's all because I see it, email, we don't view it as social media, but it is social.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is media. Yeah. And the fact is I believe if you're using Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest or whatever effectively, you're going to then also hopefully be using email marketing effectively. And email marketing is not as effective as it used to be. It's not as glamorous as it was. And when we all jumped on in 1997 or later, for those of us who are older than or younger than I am, but when I first got, every email came in and it was this golden, I got an email. Oh, JCPenney loves me. I just can't believe it. They're giving me a deal on denim jeans. Yay, I can't wait. That's no longer true. And but
I don't remember those days. I always thought I got an email and I was like, oh, who emailed me? JCPenney, delete.
Exactly. Sorry, JCPenney, JCP, you're with us. But what I like about this article is we're going to talk about the 10 ways you're running your mailing list like a jerk. Because we can screw up email marketing. Because the worst thing to happen to social media, marketers. The worst thing to happen to email marketing, marketers. We ruin it for everyone because we jump in, we spam everyone, even though we don't call it spam, and then it becomes less effective.
Yeah.
But it's still a valuable tool. The thing is that marketers have ruined it for everyone.
Yeah.
And we know that. And now we have to figure out what are our best practices. And sometimes we need to look for the negative ways. So now we're going to look at the 10 ways, and we won't look at all 10, but look at a few of the ways you're running your mailing list like a jerk.
First of all, I love the title.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. And there are really, really good things you can do with email marketing. So before we start saying all these negative things, don't hear us saying email marketing is bad by any stretch.
No, but I think what we have to realize is that there are some practices that we've probably stumbled into, and I know I'm guilty of some of these things right on here, and we've made it a bad place for a lot of people because we've abused the system somewhat.
Right.
So now if we all agree, which is not going to happen, but if we agree to use best practices, we're going to find that our click-through rate is higher, that our engagement is more, that our open rates are going to go through the roof, up to 12, 15, 25%. And but we're never going to see those numbers that we saw in the early days. When I first jumped into email marketing and was being able to track it, we were getting 75, 85% opens. Well, that world is gone now.
Yeah.
But we can still see a lot of a good positive turnover and things happening.
Absolutely. So if you hear one of these things here and you're like, oh man, I'm doing that, might be time to examine a way to change it and to make it more, make your email marketing more effective. I'm going to go ahead and start with number 1, automatically putting someone on your mailing list just because they bought something that you sell. That's hard for me, just to be honest, when I'm at Paper Media. When someone downloads an ebook or downloads, one of our other exclusive content, those people don't automatically go into our our weekly email list unless they check the box on the form. And when I get to the email every single week and I've filled it out and I'm ready to send it, there are those lists right there hovering. Man, these people are engaged, right? They've downloaded an ebook, they care, they want our information. Don't do that. Leave them off, and then we do.
Yeah, opt-in is opt-in.
Yes.
And it's the best practice. When we didn't all have email and not everyone was also, and we were only getting 10 emails a day, that was great. I now get, 150 to 200, depending on how busy a base camp day it is. Sometimes I'm seeing, 300, and there are people with much more than that. We have to limit those emails and get it so it's actually an opt-in and get to their consumers so they choose to be there. And if they choose to be there, it's going to be a better experience for you and a better experience for me.
Absolutely.
So let's not abuse the system. As much as it's fun to think, hey, I just added 150 new people and they just got this great email from me because I say brilliant things, just take a step back and
don't do that.
Off the ledge. All right. I'm gonna choose. Let's see. Okay, this is where the personal mix, and this is someone on Twitter and Facebook. Because I've seen people get my email. I get emails from a few people that I'm LinkedIn friends from, and I'm annoyed by that because I share my email address and I openly do it, and you can find it. And Facebook's kind of hidden this, and I have this. But I'm like, I did not sign up to subscribe to your, how you, I'm not even going to say because I don't want to embarrass them. I'm going to be friendly. But they have a really specific business. They're selling things. I didn't subscribe for it. It's not something I'm all that interested in. And you got it from LinkedIn because I know it because I remembered the day I let you become my contact and suddenly I'm getting your weekly email and your newsletter.
Yeah.
That's annoying to me. Number 4 here is adding someone to your list because they gave you your business card. They gave you your business card so you can interact with them as real people.
Yes.
And maybe, if you said to them, would you like to join my email newsletter? And they said, yes, here's my business card, then maybe that works. Okay, that works. That's not so if you're saying, hey, I'd love to get in contact with you, I'd love to interact with you, don't just throw their email on a newsletter. If they want to do that, email them personally and say, hey, I encourage you to just sign up for our newsletter. Here's where you do it. Or,
Then all they have to do is click submit and they've opted in.
Yeah, let them do it. But don't just say, hey, I got your, I went to a networking event. We have these networking events that people go to. And everybody's handing out business cards, which is a great thing sometimes. And we get to interact and I get to find out what other businesses are doing and find out what they're doing. But my giving you my business card is not saying I want to sign up for your email about the widgets you're making in your basement with your grandmother's teeth. That's just what I do. It's not what I really want. Okay, I was pretty proud of that. I got you.
I don't know if I'm interested in those widgets either, so if you're doing that, I don't want them. I'm going to take one last one, and then we'll go ahead and move to the infographic, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But not giving people the ability to unsubscribe, or if they click unsubscribe, still sending them emails. Boy, talk about just completely being a jerk because you're completely just not even giving them a chance to opt out. Maybe they wanted to be in it first and they liked what you were doing and they liked your emails and it was great, but then maybe they're not working where they used to, or maybe they're changing their life a little bit and they don't want to have anything to do with your emails anymore. Or it's just boring.
Or life has just gotten too busy for them.
Yeah, whatever
They want to clear out their inbox a little bit.
Anything. Give them a little button to say unsubscribe and then actually unsubscribe them, because I still get emails from, I don't know, some golf website that I bought a putter from one time when I was in like sophomore in high school. And first of all, they put me on the list for buying a putter. Strike one. Number 2, I don't want to get emails from them. My tastes have changed. I want higher end stuff and la and all this whatever. I unsubscribed and I still get stuff. And I'm just like, oh, leave me alone. Yeah. I'm never going to shop with you again.
Well, and so we have to do that. I was looking over the rest of the list, and one of the things I was looking at here is excessive goal-based reminders. And this is where I think there are some people and there's a test here. There's a person I subscribe to her email newsletter. She does similar business to we do, and she sends out, I will sometimes get 2 to 3 emails from her a day. And I'm engaged, I'm interested in that. They're extremely personal, they're interactive, they're not text, they're not graphic heavy, they're just usually really personal emails. They occasionally link to a few things. And she has reminded me that, you know what, there is times that people like that many emails. I think there ought to be, multiple streams of emails. And because this is, when you say, if your list uses goals to track subscriber activity, you don't need to remind me every few days that I haven't done what you wanted me to do. And I like that we can, automate emails now, but you don't have to keep telling me I didn't open this email. Or, because MailChimp, I know, does this. Constant Contact does this. Hey, after 4 days, if this person hasn't opened the email, send it to them again. I kind of understand that because maybe they missed it.
Sure.
But I also am like, don't just keep sending this to me. Don't keep telling me that I never clicked through, that I haven't signed up for the webinar yet. If I didn't sign up, and maybe I think once or probably twice is okay, because if they opted into your email, but don't just keep doing it and keep sending it. You're going to get people opt out. And then if you're a kind of person that sends 3 emails a day, then make sure that's really good content. And I'm actually, I'm going to call her out because, and not call her out, but give her a compliment.
Yeah, sure.
Sandra Kakowski, who we watch, and she does some
she's
really
excellent.
Does some really good
Yeah.
things. She's locally based here, but she's moving to Kansas City and realchange.tv. We're going to give her credit. She sends out several emails a day, and she gives really good content from her emails. And I'm always impressed with that because I end up opening it and looking at it, reading it about it, thinking about something she's sending, and I'm like, wow. I get so many other emails in a day that I never read and never open. And literally just, if it's in my Gmail or my work email, I click select all, go through and delete 10, 15 emails at once sometimes. And just, they're gone.
Yep.
Hers engage me. And she does a great job of writing copy that's really interesting. And she doesn't overkill, and she follows these type of rules, and she doesn't keep saying, hey, you didn't sign up for this.
It doesn't mean she doesn't give you multiple opportunities either.
Yeah, and it's always in her emails that, hey, I've got an event coming in. I know she has an event tonight that you could pay $37 and join her. I forget what it is right now. I should remember, but I got an email about it. But she didn't just keep saying, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You're not a member of this. She tries to give you real things to think about and look about. Absolutely. And what I want to say is, look, email is a necessity in this day and age. And no, I can't think of many businesses that shouldn't have some type of e-newsletter or some type of email system that they can use. But the fact is, less and less people are going to read it. And if we want more people to read it, then we need to treat our list with respect.
Absolutely. So take all that with a grain of salt. If it's really working for you to send people 5 emails a day, then good on you, mate. Keep going. But read that article. It's
Australians do that? Is that what?
I don't know. It's just what came out of my mouth.
So if you're Australian, then you're
good to go.
I don't know
your
where my
Australian
accent
always goes to like kind of Russian or something.
I do. Russian. What do you think? We need to move on to the next point. All right, the infographic of the week. We're going to go to the infographic of the week. What do we have here today?
We've got 7 media marketing trends for 7 social media marketing trends for 2014. First of all, by Social Media Examiner. We use their stuff a lot on this show. Always good stuff. Really like it. Check this out. We actually found it on Pinterest. So them posting it on Pinterest works. Social media works. It got our attention. But there's just 7 trends here. We'll link it up. You can take a look at it. But the first one started a conversation for you and I, being increased exposure is the number one benefit. Significant, which was 92% of marketers, say that their social media efforts have generated more exposure for their business, and that's their number one benefit that they're getting. What do you think about that?
I think at the end of the day, as long as you have a funnel where exposure is eventually turning into sales, and whatever steps that takes to get there for your business, and defining that and realizing that if you have 10,000 exposures, you may see that turning into 100 new customers and 5 lifelong customers, or whatever that formula is for you, and making sure you realize that, then that's a great goal for social media, because it's such a busy place now that sometimes for your first goal is just to get people knowing about you and knowing your name and getting it out there. Now, as a business, just getting exposure is not enough.
Right.
Because exposure doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't get dinner on the table. It doesn't hire the next employee. It doesn't expand your brand. And so I go both ways. Exposure is a great goal for social media as a part of a marketing strategy, as a big piece of the pie. Yeah.
I mean that's completely that's kind of the same direction. I mean we talked about this a little bit before the show too, but I mean it's not going to put dinner on the table. That's one thing that when people ask me about social media and like what good is it gonna do me to have a social media page or a Facebook page or a Twitter account? Well, one, you're gonna get exposure. That's what you're after. Early on in this social media explosion, it was like that's all you're after. Go for exposure, get 100,000 likes, get 100,000 Twitter followers, and that's great, and that's fine and dandy. But businesses are struggling to see the return on investment, which I think is the 7th point here on this. Social media ROI is still hard to figure out and still hard to understand. But like you said, if social is a part of your strategy and it drives people to the restaurant or to a page where they can buy something or gives them a coupon so they can come in the store to buy something, whatever it is. Yes, getting exposure is what you want. You want people out there to see you and to know you and to build relationships with those people, but there has to be a close.
You can create an index where you say, look, before I started using Twitter, before I started using Facebook, X amount of people, 3 people in my community knew about me. After using it for 6 months, 6 people knew about me. And then 12 people knew about me after using it for a year. I think those numbers are really valuable. It can't be the end game. It certainly can't be the end game. But if they don't know about you, they can't buy from you.
Sure, absolutely. So there's a little balance there. Make sure, how'd you phrase it, that there's goal A and then there's goal B, right?
Yeah.
Goal A, get exposure. Goal B, close the sale.
Yeah.
Make sure.
And we need to start processing through that and realize that things are going to change, and they're going to continue to change quickly. That what was working for people, there's been a lot of dialogue out there about Google ads and about Google SEO, and specifically about one company that had been making a lot of money selling Google ads because Google was pushing huge amounts of traffic through their algorithm and their search algorithm to them over the last several years. Well, in the last 6 months, that's changed dramatically, and they've seen their traffic drop 40%, and Google is under no obligation to tell them why that's happening. They don't think they've broken any rules. It just changed for them, and now they're having to change their structure, and I forget the size of the company. Let's just say it was 10-member staff, and they're having to downsize because suddenly 40% of their traffic, which means 40% less revenue coming from their ad sales, was happening, and it just changed overnight. So one, don't build all your business on somebody else's content or somebody else's system, and you can't have it all just going through Google. We all learned that. But two, we have to realize that at the end of the day, that exposure just, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Just kind of opens the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opens the door to someone knowing who you are and meeting you and getting to know your product to find out if they even want it.
As we continue looking at this infographic, I think what I saw was grabbing. Number two, to me, it seems like we talk about visual assets on the rise. Everything we know is visual. We're looking at an infographic. I think that's kind of silly to talk about that. Blogging, biggest area for increase. Here's what it was interesting. It says 58% say original written content is the most important form of content from their biz. Marketers to increase their blogging activity over YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And here's what I wonder is that they say it's original content. It's things that are new thoughts, adding value to what's out there and not just reiterating and regurgitating what's already out there. Now, I think blogging, I remember
That's tough to do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and because it's becoming as more and more people do it, there's going to be a tipping point where suddenly you can't find anything new. It's like anything in the world, we abuse it, and then so many people use it, and we have to move. And the question is, what's the next thing? What's the new thing that's going to be out there? And I think that new thing is going to be the capability to do video and audio so easily that those who jump into those areas are going to be ahead of the stream and ahead of the curve. Because suddenly people are looking to listen to podcasts and they're looking to watch videos and do things on demand that they maybe never did before because they can grab their iPod and watch a video that's 4 minutes long and do it discreetly while they're in the bathroom.
Right, sure.
There's certainly ways they can do that. And, I just think that, what is it, number 5 there, podcasting rises. Only 6% of marketers were podcasting, and now 28% want to improve their knowledge of podcasting because in 2014, 33% of them plan on creating original audio content. I think certainly a lot of blogging is very important.
Yep.
But we're going to, at some point, I don't know if it's in 2014, but we're going to hit a tipping point and there's going to be diminishing returns on blogging at some point. So we have to think ahead, what's the next big thing? I certainly think video and audio is part of that. I think there's also some things, I think people getting permission for push notifications to their mobile device, that's going to be a thing. At some point, we've already seen text marketing starting to go on the back end of people. People are using it less, they're opting in less. So we're learning all these different types of tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we continue to learn these things and as we start to see things develop, we want to share them with you constantly. So you can come back here. Nate has made another prediction. So next thing up is a video and a podcast. That's where all the content's going to go, which I think is logical. Since everything's going visual, there are so many different people out there doing high quality, really nice videos and podcasts. That just makes sense.
You can create quality content that rivals. And you're not going to get you're not going to be able to put it on ABC, but you can create. What we're creating here is really, we're using a much higher end camera than we have to. But what we're creating here, for a couple $1,000s, you can create really good content.
Yep.
And you can learn to do it weekly. And people can do it on the go, and they can do it on demand and when they're ready. And I think people like reading, but they love watching TV. They love watching videos. And it's not always going to be just, the guy getting kicked in the crotch. Though that's funny. And
Right,
we'll
it gets
continue
people's
to do-
attention and will still be
and
funny.
the cat, and later after the end of this video, we're going to work on that one. No, so, but, that's what I think. Anything else on this infographic that you want to point out before we end up this week with our question of the week?
You know what? I pointed out earlier, just pay attention to number 7 and determine what your goals are and what counts as a win, because you need to start to figure out and understand what your return on investment is in social media.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the win is in social media is that if it's just a piece of the pie, making sure it's the right proportionate piece of the pie so that you're ultimately, because the return on investment at the end of the day for all of us is more sales, more conversions, whatever we're selling, we've got to get more of that. If we're not doing that by the things we're doing, then we need to evaluate everything, whether it's our print campaigns, whether it's how we're doing business, if we're a service-based industry, or if it's how our t-shirts look. If people aren't buying our t-shirts, it might be the problem that our t-shirts suck. It might be the problem that our Twitter feed sucks. Mm-hmm. Look at both of them, analyze it, and if we want to sell more t-shirts, let's figure out how to sell more t-shirts. If we want to sell more widgets, let's sell more widgets. And at the end of the day, that's the end goal. How social media gets there and what piece of the pie it gets there and what step it is in the process. That's different for each organization.
Yep. Just figure out what works for you guys.
So this, as we're going to wrap up, let's do the question of the week. You never know what I'm going to ask, and because we don't know. But I think this week is this: what makes you open up an email?
Yeah.
I have because it's interesting, and I'm just intrigued what you say. I know it was some research because I was just reading some research this week, but I want to know what is going to make you open an email, and how have you been able to use that to increase your open rates? I'm really intrigued to do that. So you can hook us up by emailing us, info@salcha.com. That would get us.
Yep.
You can go to Twitter @Salcha. You can interact with us personally.
Yeah. Twitter @Dustin Hickle, Google Plus Dustin Hickle. We can circle up there. I'd love to help and have conversations about social media. I love to watch people succeed and help people get there. I'm kind of a teacher, I guess. I found out kind of through my life, I've become more of a teacher.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Where can I meet
absolutely.
you?
And that's what we want to do. We want to make somehow. We're trying to take this video and say, how can we actually meet the needs of other people that are trying to do the social media stuff? We don't have it all figured out, but we certainly want to work and go down the process together. And a lot of it, we're just going to give away for free because that's what we believe we should do. And this is all about community and building, rapport with one another and learning from you as you learn from us. Things that maybe mistakes we've made or things that we can do to help you. And so that comes with email marketing, and we'd love to do that. You can connect with myself at NK Manahan. Any last parting words as we finish up here for our first episode in the June of 2014?
Yeah, June of 2014. Just leave us a comment. Leave us some feedback, what you like, what you don't like about the show, questions you'd like to have answers, things you'd like us to talk about, successes that you've had, so that we can put them on the air and share them with the rest of our community, so that everybody wins. That's what we're going for. And
here's the thing. If you are the first person to tweet at me saying you watched this and give me the special word hashtag Fizzle, F-I-Z-Z-L-E. The first person to do that and tweet at me at NK Manahan, I'm going to give you a $10 Amazon gift card. You've watched this all the way through, and you can't be a member or an employee of PayPro Media. That's another thing here. If you're anything connected with PayPro Media, if you have an @paypromedia.com email address or @salcha.com email address, you are not eligible. But anyone else, the first one to do it, I'm giving a $10 gift card to Amazon. Telling you that right now.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Infome, a social media conversation. We are really glad you watched. Keep interacting with us, and we'd like to see you next time. So come back, check us out. We record this every week right here at salcha.com. We'd love to learn more from you if you learn a little bit from us. Thanks for watching.